Okay, let's just dive right in. I mean, think about it. We live in a world where a super intelligent assistant is literally in almost everyone's pocket. It remembers every phone number, navigates our cities perfectly, and even picks our music. Sometimes it feels like it knows our taste better than we do. But what's the trade-off? What happens to our own minds when we start outsourcing our thinking? That's what we're going to explore today, the hidden cognitive cost of relying so much on artificial intelligence.
It's a pretty intense question, isn't it? But it's one that scientists are starting to take very, very seriously. When you no longer need to find your own way, or remember things, or analyze a situation for yourself, what happens to the parts of your brain that are supposed to do those jobs? It's a question that really forces us to look hard at our relationship with technology.
And this quote, it just nails the scale of the change we're living through. This isn't just a new tool, like when the calculator was invented. This is a fundamental shift. For thousands of years, human progress, our very survival, depended on our ability to remember and to reason. And now, a lot of that is becoming optional. So the really crucial question is, if our brains don't have to do these basic jobs anymore, what do they become? So to really understand the impact here, we've got to look at the science of how our brains actually work. See, our brains aren't static things. They are constantly, and I mean constantly, adapting to whatever we ask of them. So what happens when what we ask of them changes so dramatically? Let's get into the biology behind this digital dependence.
Okay, so this term right here is key. Cognitive offloading. It sounds fancy, but it's the official name for something we all do every single day without even thinking about it. Seriously, when was the last time you actually memorized a new phone number? Or didn't just immediately Google some random fact you needed to know? We're offloading that mental work to our devices because it's just easier. It's efficient. But there's a biological consequence.
And that consequence is all rooted in this core principle of neuroscience called neuroplasticity. Basically, it's the idea that our brain is always remodeling itself based on what we do. You've probably heard the simple version, use it or lose it. Well, it's literally true for our brains. The neural pathways for things like spatial navigation or long-term memory are like trails in a forest. The more you use them, the clearer they get. But if you stop using them, they can slowly get overgrown and much, much harder to find again.
Now, this isn't just some abstract theory. We can see it happening all around us. So, let's look at a few really concrete examples of how this is playing out in our everyday lives.
A perfect example, one we've all felt, is GPS. Remember driving with a paper map, or even just from memory? Your brain was actively working, building mental maps, noticing landmarks. That part of your brain, called the hippocampus, which is the hub for memory and navigation, was firing on all cylinders. Now compare that to following a GPS. You're just passively executing turn-by-turn commands. Your brain has offloaded the entire task, and studies are showing that our natural spatial awareness can actually start to fade as a result.
And it goes way beyond just navigation. AI assistants like Siri, Alexa, and Google Assistant are increasingly becoming our decision makers. They suggest what we should buy, what music we should listen to, what news we should read. They analyze our habits and then make choices for us. So we're not just offloading facts anymore, we're starting to offload our own judgment.
So when you kind of step back and put it all together, the picture gets incredibly clear. We're outsourcing the raw data, the facts and figures. We're outsourcing really complex skills like navigation. And now we're even beginning to outsource these higher order functions like critical analysis and even the simple act of making a daily decision. The scope of this is just enormous.
This brings us to a massive crossroads. And I don't just mean for technology, but for the future of the human mind itself. We are actively changing the world our brains have to operate in, and so our brains, in turn, are changing themselves to fit. So, where is this all headed?
And just to be clear, this isn't science fiction. Neuroscientists, cognitive psychologists, they are all actively studying these effects right now. We don't have the long-term data yet, of course, but they are seriously grappling with whether all this convenience is costing us our core cognitive abilities. The very skills that have defined human intelligence for our entire history.
Ultimately, it leaves us with this one incredibly powerful question. Are we evolving? Are we just freeing up our mental bandwidth from all the boring stuff like memorization so we can focus on more creative, higher-level thinking? Or are we watching a slow erosion of essential cognitive skills, becoming dangerously dependent on the very machines we built? The answer? Well, it isn't written yet. It's something we are all deciding, together, every single time we pick up our devices.